Hi, I'm Sharon. Welcome to my Theory Tuition series where we're working step by step through each of the ABRSM Theory grades. There are lots of resources available to help you on my website. If you go to sharonbale.com, you'll find some free PDF information sheets. You can download those in US letter or A4 and they accompany each step of this series. You'll also find a page with links to all of my YouTube video tutorials, and you can access information about the books that I have available. I've written an exam technique guide. How to take your ABRSM Music Theory Exam is full of tips and hints on how to best prepare for your exam, and also how to make the best use of the time when you're working through your paper on exam day. So if you go to sharonbale.com, you'll find all the information there. If you can give me a like, that would be fab, and subscribe to my channel to keep updated. And so now we're going to continue with the final questions of the 2017 Grade 5 Paper B. So if you turn with me to page 14, we'll begin to have a look at these last questions. I always recommend that you have a go of these yourself first of all, or at least listen to a few starting tips and then press pause at any time, have a go on your own and then re-access into the video. It doesn't matter if you go wrong, it's always better to learn by your mistakes. You'll learn much more thoroughly that way. And if you're writing in pencil, which you always should do, it doesn't matter. You can just rub out and have another go. So use a nice sharp pencil to keep it neat, and then you can always rub out as well. Now I always suggest that for grade 5 at least you start this now. If you haven't done before, you need to write out your key signatures of your related keys, because it's so much easier to have all this information to hand at the start. So each time you start a paper, write this out, and then you've done all of your thinking in one place because you're constantly referring back to keys. And so if you've done that, question 5 is super easy peasy. And so let's see what question 5 does. I'm hoping you've had a go of that, and now we'll look at it together. So we need to write the key signature, so that's the first job. We need a key signature of 4 sharps, and then we need to write 1 octave ascending, so we're going upwards, of the major scale of that key signature. We're using semi-breve, so we don't have to worry about stems, and of course we're beginning on the tonic. So the key signature of 4 sharps is F, C, make sure you get it in the clef positioned correctly, G, D, and that's the key signature for E major. So the only thing to do now is start on note E. So we know it starts on G, F, E would be the ledger line. You can start higher. Whichever way you go, you're going to have to use ledger lines, one side or the other. And then it's just line, space, line, space, line, space, line, space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's our octave. All cows eat. Yet we've gone in step there. Just double check that. So then, next scale, using semi-breves or whole notes again, we write 1 octave descending. So we're coming down now of the harmonic minor scale that begins on this note. It says do not use a key signature but put in all necessary accidentals. So we need to bear in mind what that key signature would be. And so this is our starting note. So this is going to be B flat minor, which is related to D flat major. And if you think about it, D flat major would have a key signature of B flats, E flats, A flats, D flats, and G flats. So first of all, let's just put the note heads in, so we just get the blobs in place. So we're starting on the B, we're descending, so coming down in step, line, space, line, space, line, space, line, space, and that ends us on B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's really important that you use pencil here because you're going to have to do a bit of rubbing out as you follow each step through, but it's best to do it a step at a time rather than trying to hold too much information in one go. So we need the key signature B flat, so remember it begins and ends on B flat, so it looks like you've got 2 flats when you've only got 1 here. B flats, E flats, A flats, D flats, G flats. Now that's sort of the natural minor form. We've got to now make it harmonic minor, and ascending and descending we raise the seventh. So if this is the descending, it's 8, 7, that's the seventh. So the flat is no longer required because we're raising it to a natural. So you can either leave it like that, or you could put a natural in brackets to show that you know that you've followed that procedure through. There we go, that's done. Let's look at number 6 now. So number 6 is going to be a few questions relating back to this, so just keep your eyes on this extract that we're going to need to keep coming back to. So this again is where we have some more performance terms. So remember, this is all of your grades so far accumulating, and so that's an awful lot of Italian, French, German and signs and symbols. So there's quite a bit of revision to do. Just keep at it, and I would group them thematically just to help you to retain these. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce this, however I do know that this means at a moderate speed, and this means sweet or sweetly. So that's that done with. It's just a matter of learning those and keeping on top of your revision. So the next question asks us to give the technical names of the two notes in bar 1 marked X and Y. They've helpfully told us that we're in G major, so before we do anything I'm just going to step out that scale. G, A, B, C, D, E, F. I know of course it's F sharp, but your key signature will take care of that. 5, 6, 7. There we go. So let's see what we've got. What's note X? Remember, we're in the bass clef. So this note here is a B, and then Y is middle C, that's a C, and so B is the third, so that's the mediant, and then Y is a C, that's the subdominant. There we go, that's that. So let's turn over the page to page 15, but we need to keep this paper to hand because we're going to have to just refer back to that still. So we need to rewrite bar 1, so this bar here, not the anacrusis, the bar, first full bar, marked 1, using twice the value, and we need to change the time signature. Now at the moment the time signature is 3/4, 3 crotchet beats, 3 quarter notes, 3 crotchet beats, 3 quarter notes. You don't change the top number, we need to stay in triple time, but we need to double it, so we're going from quarter notes or crotchets to half notes or minims, and so we need to be thinking in the time signature of 3/2. And so now we can just double up the note values. So keeping the pitch, that's going to become a dotted minim or a dotted half note. Remove a beam, and those two will become quavers or eighth notes. That will become a crotchet or a quarter note, and those two will become quavers or eighth notes because we're doubling the values. So that's the thinking done. We've just got to map that out now. Let's just sketch this onto the stave in the correct pitch. So then this is going to be a dotted minim, 2 quavers, 2 eighth notes. That would be a crotchet, and then 2 quavers. Oh, keep that. There we go, just take it a step at a time, and that's easy peasy. Next one. So we need to write as a breve or a double whole note the N harmonic equivalent of the first note of the extract. And so we're looking for this one. So we need to be careful that we get the correct octave. It's easier if you just sketch one of these out. It doesn't have to be a work of art, just a reference chart, even if you don't play piano, the piano keyboard really helps to see, and then we can see the alternative. So this is a D, this is the D below middle C, and the N harmonic equivalent of that could be either C double sharp, or it could be E double flat. Either one of those would be acceptable. And so, making sure it's the correct pitch, there's middle C, so it's the octave lower. We want either C as a breve, or double whole note, double sharp, so like the X for the double sharp. So that's one answer that would be acceptable. Or we'd have the E, just above that, as a double flat. Either one of those will do. Okay, so the last question in this bit is give the letter name of the highest note in the melody. So don't forget we're in the bass clef and it's just scanning through. So we've got ledger lines, 2 ledger lines here, but we've got 3 ledger lines here. That's the highest one. So we've got, there's middle C, D, E, F, G. Or alternatively, if you prefer to, you could count this as 1 and count down the octave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you know that's G, but an octave higher. So then, and there's nothing in the key signature that attends to that. So G is the answer. And then here we have the last question. So we need to provide chords to give these cadence points the correct chords that are implied by this melody. So we need to give the Roman numeral for that, but we can't say whether it's root position or any inversion because there's no bass notes, so it's literally just the numeral. The first job, however, is to work out what key we're in. And so here we can see we're in a key of 1 flat. That could mean F major or it could mean D minor, but there are no raised sevenths, no C sharps, and so we can be pretty certain we're in F major. If it is that your chords start turning out a bit weird and don't fit, it's because you've got the key wrong, and so you'll just have to go back and rethink your key. So let's just mark down our options. So chords 1, 2, 4 and 5. So chord 1 is based on an F, G, A, B, C. I know of course that will be a B flat, but your key signature will take care of that. So let's just put the triads, and if you find it difficult counting up these notes, just peep to your keyboard. So first, third, fifth, F, A, C, G, B, D, B, D, F, C, E, G. So then let's see, now we have to decide which ones are harmony notes, part of the chord, and which are sort of in between passing notes or auxiliary notes. So let's have a look what we've got. We've got a B flat, a B, F, B. So we know we're going to be a chord 4. And then we've got an A, C, F. That will be chord 1. That's pretty plain sailing, and there's your plagal cadence. Gives a very gentle ending. It sounds a bit like a sort of an amen kind of gentle close. Here we go then. So what have we got here? Now here we can just glance through and see that this is not part of your chord. That's a passing note. That's your harmony note, that's your harmony note, and then the step in between, it's got to be stepwise, just filling in the gap. So we've got a G, a B and a G, which tells us we're in chord 2. If it is that you weren't sure about this passing note, you'd soon see that a G, a B would not have room for an A in the chord as well. And so you can see that the majority of the notes still fit this, the A doesn't fit, and then you sort of go back and think, oh yes, I understand now, that's a passing note, just an in-between fill-in. So here we got an A, a C and an A, so that will be chord 1. That's our only option there. And then here again, we're going to have to work out which are our harmony notes. So we've got G, F, E, D, C, so it's obvious that we can't have all of those. However, if we explain that away and that away as passing notes, that leaves us with a G, an E and a C, which gives us a chord 5, and there's our imperfect cadence. And so we'd know to choose those. And so if you were confused and was trying to make an F and a D part of your chord, you'd see that it would be leading you to a chord 4, which does not provide you with a recognised cadence point, and also that wouldn't explain the other notes as passing notes, whereas we can see that these are just fill-in notes passing through, just filling in the gap. And so there we go, we have a nice perfect cadence, which brings us to a we have an imperfect cadence, and so that brings us to the end of this video. That's the end of this paper, in fact, and so we'll look at the next paper in the next video. I do hope that that's helpful to you. If you can give me a like, that'd be fab, that'd be really encouraging. If you can subscribe to my channel to keep updated, there's lots more in store. Please do go to sharonbale.com and have a look at all of the information and resource that's available to help you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.